but a large percentage of it is projections that are placed onto us, you would say.
Yeah. And I think what drives most of us into therapy is a desire for more quality to our lives, or less pain. It generally has to get whatever the issues are big enough to cause us to do something different, life changing, but definitely going out of one's comfort zone. If you think about it, to be willing to sit down and go talk to a stranger, which turns out is easier usually than talking to somebody close to you. It's like it's less vulnerable. The fact that we're able to do that, I think, says a lot about that person and their capabilities. Just the act of willingness to go kind of raise your hand and say, I need help, is a hard thing for people to do. For me, I think I was terrified of what I might say, or what I might hear. It was that fear of just not knowing, and all of its discomfort, our lives, even if we're miserable, it's familiar. And most of us will take the familiar over the unknown.
So I've heard this topic going around about changing our neural pathways and to do something different that we have never done before. So, for instance, when you do say you have this intense fear of, let's say, going up to people and talking to strangers, in what ways can we practice changing those neural pathways?
Yeah, I mean, I think as, pop psychology, as it might sound, just being willing um, to face it and try it once. I think of when all of us learned to swim, and how before we got in the pool, there was no way any of us were getting into that pool. No way. It's terrifying. And some kids are taught to swim, and somebody pushes them in the pool, and our instinct to survive will kick in, and we will paddle or sink like a rock. But most of us will figure out how to make it safely to the side. And then that parent or whoever it is took you to that lesson can't get you out of the pool. You have to do it. You just have to do it that first time. And you said the fear of talking to a stranger. I annoy myself at times with this, but the words that we use are so incredibly important. I wasn't afraid to go speak to somebody. That wasn't the fear. That's might be what I thought at the time. But the fear is, what might this person think about me? That's the fear. It's not the act of talking to a stranger. It's what might happen as a result. The meta message underneath what it is that we first tell ourselves we're afraid of. Like, I'm afraid of heights. Well, I don't know if we're afraid of heights as much as we're afraid of the floor giving out and dropping 50 stories to our death. The words that we use to describe what we're afraid of tend to be really all encompassing, which I think really limits us, because there's a difference between I'm afraid to talk to somebody I don't know versus I can't predict how somebody I don't know is going to think of me. Those are very different things. I mean, if nothing else, it's the benefit or the gift of therapy is clarification.
Yeah, that's very interesting you highlight on those things, just the underlying reason behind the fear. I think in therapy, that's usually what you tend to look for.
Yeah, to have those aha moments, those are incredible. And I feel fortunate every time I watch somebody have one. And even myself, I still have them where I'm like, oh my God, because I'm got back into therapy recently myself, as, working on myself as a 20, 30, 40-year old, and um, looking at myself now that I'm 55, I'm just a different human being. And so my questions are different. I don't push myself around as much anymore. And um, my ability to participate in my own exploration is just a different experience for me now. Um, so I have those experiences like my whole life I've thought this, and now I actually think it was never that. Sometimes it's a sad experience. Uh, like, I can't believe that this is the way that I've thought for 40 years. And it turns out, based on that question that was asked of me a long time ago, I was mistaken. Like, my interpretation of the situation shaped my life, and I was mistaken. Um, that's where, forgiveness and pushing on and not giving oneself a hard time really comes in handy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's so interesting how our perception changes over time. Just because you, again, like you go back to having those aha moments and then you realized, oh, wait, it
Yeah.
wasn't me. It was just what was put
Hmm.
on to me. And then that's how I perceived myself based on that projection.
Yes, if we really look at it, everything lines up. Like, things make sense when oh, I understand why I did that. Um, or if I was afraid of abandonment, as an example, it makes sense why I have this people pleaser quality to my personality, because if somebody is upset or angry, um, they might leave, and the underlying motivation is to keep people from leaving. Well, we're going to be in this world a lot differently if that's your motivation. I think the hard part is lots of us don't know that that's what's driving us. Most of us will say, I'm a giver, or I just like for people to have what they want. Um, I My guess is it's rarely that simple.
How much do you see people put, especially in your practice, how much do you see people put people's needs above their own?
Oh, it's such um, a valuable question. Now, my answer is coming through my lens, and also just 25 years of trying to look through other people's lenses. And I would say that's an enormous number. The amount of people who put other people's needs before their own. Most of us were raised or grew up in an environment where at least one person growing up said to us, don't be so selfish. And that then gets attributed to so many different areas of our lives. We perceived it as it's bad to be selfish. We interpreted selfish as when I think of myself. Well, that is going to put us on a whole different path in life. If taking care of myself is selfish and being selfish is bad, um, then the most reasonable alternative is to make sure that other people's needs are met first.
Yep, absolutely. Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app available on iOS and Android today.